Richard MacInnis here with Volocian Studios for Volocian Tech Life and Volocian Arts Life. We're talking to Mike Nicholaichuk today. How are you?
I'm great. Hi. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we just did an interview with Mike. Full disclaimer, we're scratching each other's backs here. But you build arcade cabinets. You do a lot of artistic things, but this is what we're here to talk about.
I'm part of Bitter Old Goons Gaming. We're a YouTube video game streaming group that does, video reviews, tech builds, things like that. And one of the things I do is restore and convert old video game machines, repair them, and we're standing in front of my sort of the 5-star BOGG cabinet, which is a Windows 10 based main machine. And lifelong video game enthusiast, and I don't judge. I love consoles, PCs, the works.
Awesome. So tell us about BOGG Sales and Service. That's your company that makes these things?
Yeah, BOGG Sales and Service. This company I started actually just last June. We do local service, on-site estimates, on-site repair for classic arcade machines all the way up to the new stuff. We do conversions and restorations, such as this one here, which is a Raspberry Pi-based conversion of an old Burger Time cabinet that came to me gutted. But we do things like the marquee installations, paint restorations, T-molding fixing, custom controls. We also do the main-based stuff. Supply people with the right software and the tools to get this up and running for at home, and then tell them how they might want to build one of their own. We also build 100% new cabinets based on CNC design and cutting. I've so far done a design for cocktail cabinets, but I intend to extend my expertise into these, and my own philosophy is I want to release them back into the wild so that people can have another 30, 40 years of pleasure from the old ones. And if they want something new, instead of converting a classic, I would much rather just build it from scratch.
That's cool. Tell us about BOGG. What does BOGG stand for?
It's Bitter Old Goons Gaming. And a bit of a callback to my university days. I was a mature student when I went into engineering, and I was with some other friends who were mature students, and they just called us the Old Goons.
Wow.
And
I was an immature student, so I don't...
Well, I went back to university at, I guess I would have been 21 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I actually went to university first just out of high school, didn't like it, quit, became a bricklayer. And then after 3 years of that, I figured, well, math can't be as hard as lifting bricks, so I went back and did it. But the name carried on when me and my friends decided we'd like to try to get into the video game streaming business, so to speak. The idea is, as a video game enthusiast, I wanted to start doing something creative with it, which also gave me an excuse to start shooting video and doing edits of my actual restoration and build projects, which has been quite popular.
Yeah.
And we've started doing video game reviews, which have started to become quite popular. And it's just really, for me, a way to creatively apply my love of video games to something that's not just playing video games.
I don't personally see a lot of people doing this, so it's really great to talk to somebody who is, because I like any kind of an artsy thing.
Well, one of the things that our group does that I don't see a lot, like there are thousands of video game streamers, YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, full of them. And there's many popular ones. PewDiePie is, a very popular streamer with 60 million followers on YouTube. That's incredible to me.
Yeah.
But one of the things that started it all was building this main-based cabinet and then finding out a way to stream video games off of it. And that gave me an excuse to sort of learn open broadcasting software and start to fiddle around with things like lighting and sound. And as it grew, I ended up buying more cameras and more green screens and more audio equipment and stuff like that. And I have a lifelong history of music as well, and I've done a lot of my own music production.
Yeah.
And a lot of those skills tied into the video game streaming stuff. So for example, we can shoot video and live stream people hammering on the arcade while simultaneously streaming the arcade visual itself, which I think adds an extra element to the arcade streaming stuff that you just don't see. And it's very popular because there's a lot of people out there that grew up on arcade machines. There's not a lot of way to view that stuff. So if you want to watch somebody play arcade games like you used to do in the arcades, now we can provide that service as well.
Yeah, that's excellent, because a lot of the arcades don't really exist anymore, at least not in the fashion that they once did, maybe when you and I were kids.
No, certainly, and I spent a lot of my youth in arcades scrounging up rolls of quarters with buddies to blast out Street Fighter or Double Dragon or whatever was popular. One of my favorites back in the day was Area 51 at the Campus Cove, and that's what got me into the light gun stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a real treat to sort of revisit a lot of those. And I've had people here of all ages into their mid 60s and younger that come and they all have a favorite. Final Fight or Galaxia or Missile Command. Because you don't get access to those old arcade games anymore. I mean, there's a couple of bars in town. There's Bar Tari and Mana that have some, but it's not quite the same as when you and your buddies would huddle around, put the quarter on the thing, up next type deal. So that's what really got me into the video game streaming, and then eventually that started transitioning into a business when I decided, I can build stuff like this, I can repair things like this. There's got to be folks out there with them in their basement that don't work and they want to get them fixed. And that's actually started to grow. So it's been a real treat to go to people's homes and see the ones they have hidden in their basement and diagnose the problems. And, for me, it's also about keeping your mind sharp and learning. Because every time I encounter a new problem, I have to research it, figure out what went wrong and what parts to buy. And it's been really fun to start fixing things hands-on.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so here, this is where I do all my retro game streaming with the group. I have original Xbox, Xbox 360, I've got a Retron 5 for Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, N64, GameCube, Dreamcast, a Wii U, and a Nintendo Switch, and now a Sync.
Yeah.
So I'll be adding that into the collection. But everything's wired back to the main broadcast studio. I've got an HDMI that split and goes all the way back to the office. I've got USB ports running the webcams all the way out here.
This is awesome.
So the idea is me and a buddy sit down and grind through some of the classic games that we love. And what we're doing right now is Chrono Trigger, which is an RPG from about the mid-90s. But we've gone through all the Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 on here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, of course, Super Mario World and stuff like that. And, with a wide library like that, it gives you a lot of options to stream.
For sure.
That's one thing about the Sync I'm pumped about. Is I currently am running a Retro Engine Sigma, which is just Retro Pi, and it's kind of clunky and it doesn't always work well. So I look forward to digging up games I don't have in my collection and trying it on the Sync, which will, I think, work quite well.
Chrono Trigger's on there.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Well, Secret of Mana is the next one I'm going to look for.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was playing it last week.
Except there's a HD version coming out on Steam here in a month.
Oh, cool.
They remade it, so it's going to be a sort of toss-up whether we do the classic or the new one.
That'd be worth the purchase.
This is the old retro streaming section, and it's all set up basically with the HDMI up converter that just takes composite in, and then from the HDMI signal I'm using an Elgato gain capture to get that into OBS. So why don't we go take a look at the broadcast studio and I'll show you all the hardware for that.
Let's do that.
Okay, so this is the broadcast studio.
Yeah.
This is where I stream most of my PC games from, but also this is where all the capture software is for the stuff out in the retro gaming area. And it's set up using a Zoom H6 to capture audio, Apex 415 for a condenser mic, which gives good quality sound. I've got the green screen behind me, which of course allows me to put my head on the streams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And this gaming rig is a Ryzen-based PC with 6 cores, and that gives me the horsepower to parse down stuff coming from this PC. And this PC actually is the one that handles all the streaming from the other group. So
I see.
it's a dual streaming PC setup, which is fairly common for game streaming these days, and it works pretty great. One of the things I do like to do is I also like to dress up for my streams.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing some Rising Storm Vietnam later.
Okay, there you go.
Wearing the helmet there.
Looking good. Look like you look, with that shirt as well.
Yeah, that's why I got this shirt on.
And
actually.
your grizzly beard. You look like you've been in the trenches
That's
for months.
right. Yeah, staying in that jungle.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically the setup for streaming and producing video games. And obviously this one is great for doing video editing and things like that.
For sure.
As I work on my review for the Sync, I'll be using this one to give my opinion on it.
Well, excellent. I feel like I'm going to have to give a tour of Volocian Studios headquarters after, but we might have to clean the house.
Yeah, I didn't bother, so no worries on that.
Oh, it's always nice to see some other content producers' setups. It's a really cool little broadcasting station you've got here, and really nice to see when people are doing broadcasts and creating content on their own. You don't need to have $1 million television studio or a huge amount of sponsors to make really good content.
No, and you got to start somewhere. And this is not by any means like a low-end setup. You can do a lot of this stuff just with a single PC.
For sure.
But as I did it more and more, I wanted to have higher and higher quality of streaming. And to down encode high resolution, it takes a lot of CPU power.
Yeah.
Like this one is a hyper-threaded 6-core, so 12 active cores, and it'll see 80-90% CPU utilization when I'm streaming from this PC. It's right at its limit, and it's a newer CPU.
Makes sense.
But yeah, lots of fun stuff.
Really cool. All right, thanks for showing us around. Oh. Where can people find you online? Your channels or your different pages or?
Bitter Old Goons Gaming on YouTube, Bitter Old Goons Gaming on Twitch, Bitter Old Goons Gaming on Mixer, depending on what platform you like to watch on. We also have a Facebook site, Bitter Old Goons Gaming, and we have a Bitter Old Goons Gaming or BOGG Sales and Service Facebook website that you can contact me if you have an old arcade machine in your basement that you want fixed. And again, we offer on-site estimates, very reasonable rates. And I just love working on them. So if you have something you need fixed, let me know. We can do monitor replacement, we can do conversions to LCD. Anything you want, full conversions or just a restoration, we can offer those services, and I'd be more than happy to take a look.
Excellent. Well, folks, you heard it here first. Bitter Old Goons Gaming, that's the name just about everywhere. Take a look, and you can find this interview and more at Volocian.com.